Okay. Good morning. You sound as happy about spring as I feel. Welcome to worship with the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm the settled minister, Reverend Shari Woodbury. Whether you're attending online or here in the sanctuary, I'm glad you have chosen to join us on this morning. Worship means to remember that which is of worth. And so we gather each week in community to call ourselves back to our highest values. A special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It's a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It is a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, please feel at home to bring your whole self into this community. If you are joining us online, I encourage you to create a YouTube account and sign in when you join that way. That'll allow you to participate in the chat to share joys and concerns or give a shout out to the musicians or whatever else you feel moved to share. You can also subscribe to our channel and share videos you like with others. For those joining in person, you're invited to go downstairs to the common room in the basement after the service, where coffee and conversation await. Meanwhile, if you are logged into church Wi-Fi and don't need to be, please put your phone on airplane mode during the service. I have a few announcements. We have an all-ages coloring contest for our stewardship theme. These are downstairs. And also the opportunity to post why you give are both in an information booth downstairs in the common room. And our fabulous board president, Harold, also created a 150-piece puzzle with our church building on it. And we will put it together as we receive pledges. So if you're one of those people who has the compulsion to complete things, you gotta pledge. Get that puzzle complete. Are you concerned about the environment? Another thing going on today is a forum in the common room. It'll start around noon about how our church can protect our common home. Church members Ian Shanklin and Mark Laskatoff will tell the inspiring story of how one UU church like ours succeeded in doing just that. And a light lunch will be provided thanks to the stewardship team. So if you have a big heart for the earth and want to help figure out how we can act on that as a church, please join us at noon for that. There's also a First Steps class today, which is a drop-in class for visitors. Miss Melissa in the room? No, she's probably downstairs getting things ready for our new membership ceremony. You can meet our friendly membership coordinator, Melissa Gibson, and it's just an informal time to learn a little bit about the church, share a bit about yourself, and ask some questions, and that'll be in the lounge. Okay, let's see. To find out what else is going on this week, you can use the QR code or the links in the program, or grab a printed e-news in the foyer. Lastly, I want to acknowledge that the First Unitarian Church of Omaha occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Otoe, Missouri tribal nations, whose sovereignty existed long before the state of Nebraska. We'd also like to express our respect to the Ponca tribe of Nebraska, the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, the Santee Sioux tribe of Nebraska, and over 170 other tribes represented in the Omaha area. Hey, Melissa, give a wave. Here's Melissa at the back here, who I just mentioned about the First Steps class. All right. And now, a beautiful organ prelude from our organist, Pat Will. This morning, Jack Round will light the chalice. You can find the chalice lighting words in your program, or if you don't have one, in the inside cover of the hymnal. Will you join me? Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. Thanks, Jack. We call forth the life of our faith by igniting our chalice. The spark of new beginnings invites us into a sacred space to reflect on where we have been and where we are going. Even knowing that this particular flame will intentionally end with our ritual extinguishing, we fear not its end. For we know, with brave hearts, that from every ending of our lives, we are sent forth to make a new beginning, for we are ever becoming. I invite you to rise and join me in singing our opening hymn, number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me. You may be seated. And now it's time for the children to come forward for a story for all ages, and we have something special for you today.
All right, welcome. I'm Christina Strong, Director of Religious Education here at First Unitarian. And our story today is called Sustaining the Tree of Life by Lynn Gardner. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships could be nourishing. And elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, and when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too. Rabbits lived in burrows under its roots, squirrels and monkeys lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree seemed to buzz with life. One day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. She rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of delicious fruit.
This fruit is incredible. I would like to have some to sell in the next villages that I visit. Who owns this tree?
No one owns this tree. If anything, we belong to it.
Well, then if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit.
I mind, and today I am the keeper of the tree.
What do you mean, keeper of the tree?
We take our turn being here with the tree. We can never own it. We are here as protectors, as sustainers.
That's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You could just take what you need. Take what you want, and the tree will continue.
But the villager couldn't be persuaded.
Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it. Even though we receive much, we are the keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are, and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become.
Well, you may think this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That's preposterous.
The tree itself may not need me, but what if others do come by? Just this morning, I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by and rested with me. They had been looking for a place like this, and then an elder came by, and we watched the birds and the branches together. And now you are here. You were confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found anyone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Lucky for you, my friend, I'm here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, it becomes so much more than just you.
The merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little challenging. As the sun went down, she picked up her bag and headed out of town, whistling a song that she hadn't thought of in years. On her way, she shared a smile with each person she met, her heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, and to share gifts with grace and gratitude. May it be so for each of us.
I'm the villager, I village.
And now please join us as we sing the children to their classes.
I invite Shari Connor forward to share a stewardship moment.
Good morning. And I'm here to tell you the reason why I give. And that reason is community. I love this community. Seth, my biological grandson, son by adoption, and who many of you know, he and I began coming to this church toward the end of 2011. I became a member in 2014. Anyway, Seth started out in the nursery as a 4-year-old and has grown up in this church. And he's now 16 years old and a nursery worker himself. This community has been a key element of his upbringing. He's a strong and level-headed man and has lofty goals and dreams that he stands a chance of actually attaining. And folks, I credit you, our religious community, as having had a major influence in his upbringing and his introspective worldview. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I will thank you, this beautiful community, by once again filling out my pledge form. You all know, as well as I do, that it takes money to keep our lovely community thriving and this old building in tip-top shape. The $1,169 per day that it costs to keep our community humming comes from us. For those of you who are at the point of life where you are raising children, I want to remind you of the many programs that this church community offers that support you on your journey. Think about the RE classes, OWL, Why Are You You, Community Night. And as a parent, isn't it great knowing that this wonderful community has your back? And maybe your kids are grown up, or parenthood isn't a journey that you are or will be taking. This community still has your back. Think about the adult RE classes, those enriching classes offered throughout the year that provide food for thought as you go about your day. And of course, we mustn't forget our community outreach programs, neighborhood care, yes meals, etc. They need you. So folks, please, when you look at your pledge form and fill it out, think of this beloved community and what it means to you, and give generously. Thank you.
Thank you, Shari. We practice the spiritual virtue of generosity each week by taking up a community offering. And half of the loose currency that is put in the plate is donated to a local cause, which resonates with UU values. If you're online or prefer to give with your smartphone, you can use the QR code or link provided. Our Share the Plate recipient for March is the Women's Center for Advancement. The WCA assists anyone in the Omaha area who is experiencing domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking, which sadly does happen in our area. You can learn more at wcaomaha.org. The offering is gratefully received. When we share our joys are multiplied. And when we share the challenges we face, our community can offer its care. I've got a few joys and concerns that came in beforehand to share, and then we'll see if there are any new ones online. Sadly, longtime member Janet West died on Monday. I think her family was relieved that she's no longer in pain. A memorial service will be held here this spring, and we'll share the date as that is finalized. Meanwhile, if you want to send a condolence card to her daughter, Jamie Rost, we'll include her address in the Joys and Concerns e-blast. Harriet Major shares the wonderful news that her daughter, Nancy Major Jack, no longer needs dialysis, which means she can have chemo. It's like a miracle, Harriet says, and they're so grateful for our good wishes, cards, and thoughts during this very stressful time for their family. Elaine Wells is excited that her partner, Henry Sirenko, has been invited to offer a retrospective exhibit of his pottery and drawings. The show is called A Life's Work, and it will be at the College of St. Mary's Hilmer Gallery from March 16th through April 28th. Elaine invites you and your friends to come to the opening reception on Thursday, March 16th from 5 to 7 p.m. What do we have from online, Colin?
We have one from Cindy Nather saying, please tell Pat how much she enjoys hearing her at the organ. And we have one from Lynn Thompson here saying, thank you to Reverend Shari for the important op-ed in the Omaha World Herald this week. And the congregation's support of the
the reproductive justice resolution?
Of the ad of faith leaders and the abortion bill LB 626.
And I thank you all for voting on that last fall, which enabled me to really speak loud and proud for our congregation about what we stand for. All right, let's draw into our circle of care all who know both joy and difficulty, whether or not their experience has been spoken aloud. I invite you to join me in a centering song, number 123, Spirit of Life. And if you know it well, you can feel free to close your eyes as we sing. Coordinator Melissa Gibson to join me at the front here. Today, I'm happy to share that we're welcoming 4 new people to our community as members, and I invite them to come forward at this time. Joseph Snipes, Elise Thompson, Kira Spooner, and Jay Sauer. This is the time for joy for our congregation as we welcome these new members and renew our shared commitment to this community.
We are pleased that each of you has chosen to formally become a member of this church. Today, we celebrate that commitment with the congregation. When we gather, we search together for meaning and truth in life, and we share our joys and sorrows with one another. Joining the First Unitarian Church of Omaha means being a deeper part of this gathered community, participating as voting members in the governance of the church, supporting others, and being supported in return. If you will join us in this mission and work, please say all together, I will. I will. That's your only line, I promise.
Like typical yo-yos, they didn't do it in unison. Okay, thank you. We all have our own way. Will the members of the congregation please rise as you are able? You can do that at home too if you like. And join in the congregational response. We'll do this as a call and response, so you can just listen and echo each line. I'll say the words, and then Melissa will lead you in echoing them. Let's begin. We, the members of First Unitarian Church of Omaha, welcome you to our shared journey of community, discovery, and celebration. We invite you to contribute to our work for healing and justice, and pledge to join our strength and talent with yours. Believing that through our common effort, we may better shape the meaning of our lives. May we work together to sustain this congregation, a place of comfort and challenge, a home from which to journey, and return once again. We receive you with open hands and hearts. Welcome. Congregation, you may be seated. New members, at coffee hour after this, we have the membership book ready for you to sign and make it official if you haven't already. We also have a welcome gift that Melissa has brought for you in the common room to remind you that you belong to this community and that this community belongs to you. It is said that membership truly begins not when you sign the book or appear before the congregation in a ceremony like this one, but when you find yourself disappointed by the congregation and choose to return anyway. I see some heads nodding out there. That's how we put our covenant of right relations into practice and ask others to live into those promises too. Melissa and I will alternate reading the covenant now before I ask all of you to affirm it. Our covenant of right relations.
We, the congregation of First Unitarian Church of Omaha, covenant together
to create a religious community where we can freely explore our values and foster diversity as a source of communal strength,
to build healthy relationships, seeking to understand each other and respect our differences,
to listen deeply and endeavor to communicate directly, honestly, and compassionately, particularly when we are in conflict,
to do our best to make amends when we have hurt each other, even unintentionally, to learn from our mistakes, to forgive, and to reconnect in the spirit of understanding and commitment.
Members old and new, do you affirm your commitment to this covenant? If so, just as you are, you may say, I do.
I do.
Reverend Alice Blair Wesley said, to join a free church is to sign a promise that may sound simple. It should sound simple, but which, if you keep covenant, brings you into intimate companionship with others who have promised to live with all the integrity you and they can muster together in all the years of your lives. To our new members, Joseph, Elise, Kira, and Jay, may you find comfort in this community, may you find joy in it, and may you be challenged in it. May you know that your presence among us is a blessing for us all. We're so glad to have you with us. Our morning reading will be shared by Connie DeFazio, who actually was at our last membership ceremony. It's Holy Are the Places of Becoming by Maureen Killeran.
Holy are the places of memory, the places which have formed us, where we store the icons of success and shattered dreams and gather threads and pieces of what we would become. Holy are the places of memory. Holy are the places of the dream, the places over the rainbow where all children are wanted and all people are fed, where colors are the source of celebration and youth and age come to the table as one. Holy are the places of the dream. Holy are the places of change and pain, the places of our struggle, where the rivers of our lives run white and fast, and we hold on and grow. Holy are the places of change and pain. Holy are the places of connection, the places where we risk ourselves, where hands, touch souls, touch minds, and in awareness still, we change our lives. Holy are the places of connection. Holy are the places of becoming, the places of clear vision where life and world are intertwined and we can see forever in this moment and give thanks. Holy are the places of becoming.
Holy are the places of becoming, wrote Maureen Killoran, the places of clear vision, where life and world are intertwined, and we can see forever in this moment and give thanks. Holy are the places of becoming. This church is a place of memory, dream, struggle, connection, and it is a place of becoming. Like the tree in our children's story, it is the kind of place where we remember who we want to become. Whether you are new here or a longtime member, I hope that this church supports you in who you are becoming as an individual. I'm excited and curious about who we are becoming as a community in this era. And I'm inspired by the potential for this congregation to influence what our state and our society will become next. Becoming is the theme for our spring stewardship campaign. The campaign is an annual invitation to members and friends to make a pledge in support of the church's mission so we can budget and plan for the coming year. The church is like the tree in the story we heard earlier. If we all take care of this church, it in turn can continue to bring joy, connection, beauty, and purpose into our lives. As Shari noted earlier, pledges are the primary source of funding for the church. Each member or friend can contribute according to their ability. We have a fair share giving guide you may have seen. That's a tool to help people consider what level of giving may make sense based on your resources and your level of commitment. And we know everybody's situation is a little different. Now, I'm wondering if you've guessed what our mascot is for this stewardship campaign. Okay, maybe obvious by now, butterfly. Not only because spring is on its way, bringing warmth and beauty and a sense of possibility and hope, but also because the butterfly is a powerful symbol of becoming, of transformation. It's a living, fluttering metaphor of becoming. A butterfly begins, of course, not as a gossamer-winged bit of grace in the air, but as a humble caterpillar on the ground. Any part of the web of life can inspire us if we pay attention. The caterpillar drew the eye of Christian mystic Meister Eckhart, who wrote, "If I could spend an hour with the lowliest of God's creatures, say a caterpillar, I would have no need of sermons." The caterpillars are still scarce in Nebraska in early March, so I'll go ahead and share the rest of this with you. A caterpillar pops out of its egg, a tiny being in a vast world. As any fan of Eric Carle's board books for children knows, that itty-bitty caterpillar arrives on the scene very hungry. It has a lot of growing to do to become its next self. So the very hungry caterpillar devours various kinds of fruit, as well as salami, cheese, pickles, pie, and assorted other delicacies. It almost seems as though this caterpillar might have hatched out of the egg inside a deli until it returns to leaf eating. I can relate to the caterpillar. I've gone through stages in my life when I was hungry to grow into my next self and consumed all sorts of ideas and experiences in that search. The period when I became a Unitarian Universalist in my 20s was one such time. A class on the historical Jesus? Sign me up. Tao Te Ching, Upanishads, Dhammapada, let me read this good stuff. Sexuality education for young adults, I'll take that. Earth-centered ritual, that sounds good. I've seen this a lot with new Unitarian Universalists, and sometimes we go through it again in cycles later. Let me learn, let me explore, let me make connections with people and groups and gatherings. Let me make connections between the synapses in my brain and between my mind and heart. If someone's hungry for becoming, a place like this is like a big banquet of good stuff to take in, full of interesting people to partake with. So yes, UU churches have our share of very hungry creatures, adventurous in what they take in as food for growth. Such a time can be fun and rewarding. It can also be unsettling, as that was, especially if we are longing for a greater sense of direction. Elizabeth Lesser writes of experiencing a time where life as we have known it is over. When being a caterpillar, she writes, feels somehow false, and yet we don't know who we are supposed to become. All we know, she says, is that something bigger is calling us to change. Well, moving past the caterpillar stage, and got a couple of those in this beautiful banner too, becoming is not always clean, not always easy, pretty, pure. The next stage of the butterfly life cycle represents this well, the chrysalis. I've had chrysalis periods too. I don't know about you. Times when I stop taking in new ideas, making new connections, need to turn inward, become more nonverbal, spending more time in nature and music in my body, letting the formation, the integration that is needed inside me take its course organically. I can't make that happen, but I can give it time and space to unfold. In a group, like a church community, a chrysalis time can look less hushed, more helter-skelter. I notice that there are a number of questions swirling around this church right now. Questions about our mission and why we're here, how do we express that? Questions about our building and how best to use it and care for it. Questions about our social justice commitments and how we want to act on them and express them in the community. Questions about how to welcome the leadership of new people and younger generations and the varied ways that they might embody leadership. Fuzzy caterpillars create a cocoon and stay in it for only a few weeks. For a human individual or group, the chrysalis stage of development can last much longer. An important thing to recognize about this stage is that however quiet or buzzing, low-key or engaged it might look from the outside, something essential and growthful is happening. Rebecca Solnit shares this perspective on the process. When a caterpillar enters a chrysalis, she writes, it dissolves itself, quite literally, into liquid. So inside that little sac, liquid. In this state, what was a caterpillar and will be a butterfly is neither one nor the other. It's a sort of living soup. Feeling soupy, anyone? What really intrigues me is what Solnit writes next. She explains, within this living soup are the imaginal cells that will catalyze the creature's transformation into winged maturity. May the best among us, the most visionary, the most inclusive, be the imaginal cells, for now we are in the soup. So periods that seem messy, even confusing for individuals or communities, or for our entire society, as feels like the case to me right now, these are vital and vibrant periods for becoming our next selves. I believe this congregation can function this way in relation to the wider community too. We can nurture the imaginal cells for a more beautiful world, a more loving and just world. We are creating the patterns and new life-giving ways of being while we are dissolved in the soup in the chrysalis. The poet May Sarton evokes this process for the person as an individual in her poem, Now I Become Myself. Sarton writes, now I become myself, It's taken time, many years and places. I have been dissolved and shaken, worn other people's faces. So when you find yourself feeling dissolved, sometimes an uncomfortable feeling, take heart. Trust that you will emerge from the cocoon in time, the next beautiful incarnation of yourself. And you know what stage comes next, right? Anybody want to hum a little bar of Becoming for me? Thank you, choir. The transformation from caterpillar to butterfly is dramatic in part because the butterfly seems like so different a creature from the caterpillar. Where the lowly caterpillar crawls on the ground, the butterfly floats through the air on silken wings. Its colorful design and elegant patterns and movement captivate the human eye. Who wouldn't want to be a butterfly? And by the way, if you like butterflies and you like colors and coloring, don't forget to participate in our coloring contest. It's for grown-ups too. Their pages are downstairs. And while you're there, you can share why you pledge, and we'll add it to our wall of becoming. Okay, I'm changing topics a bit. Have you heard of the butterfly effect? Yeah, okay, so it comes from chaos theory in natural sciences. I read about this when I was in college, and it kind of flipped my brain. The butterfly effect is a name for how small actions or events, magnified over time, can create significant outcomes. It comes into play notably in weather systems, so of course you know about it, Mike. The nonlinear equations that govern the weather are so incredibly sensitive to initial conditions, it is said, that a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil could set off a tornado in Texas. Or I'd like to say a butterfly flapping its wings in Colombia could set off a tornado in Nebraska. How about that? I love the butterfly as a touchstone for this reality too. The reality that small efforts, seemingly small action, can lead to major change. What if one church in Omaha, reducing its carbon footprint, helped us rein in climate change and create a livable future? Could be. If you want to explore that more, again, you can go to the forum in the common room today, and lunch will be provided. Now, I think it's not an accident that we chose the monarch butterfly among all the butterflies, and Mary Kay did too with this banner. It is, of course, one of the most iconic butterflies of Nebraska, and one that's widely recognized for its striking colors. But the butterfly is beyond beautiful. It's vulnerable, too, with its delicate wings and its annual migration over enormous distances, not to mention its dependence on a climate and environment that humans have dramatically changed. Interestingly, the butterfly effect just might help explain the recent upswing in Western monarchs. The species was listed as endangered just a few years ago. These are the ones on the west side of the Rocky Mountains. But since then, the population has seen a healthy bump in numbers 2 years running. A combination of factors is likely responsible, contributing each a little bit to the resurgence. And we don't know if the last couple of years will represent a trend that will stick. There's no guarantee that the monarch will come off the endangered species list in the future and not go extinct. But I find it hopeful that things like reduced pesticide use and habitat restoration by humans may have contributed to the species' recent comeback, and that our continued actions could help this beautiful butterfly survive. All the small actions at the level of each family, each farm, each faith community really do matter. And that includes the decision of each person within the sound of my voice about pledging to First Unitarian. If you want to nurture the imaginal cells that can create a better society in the years and decades to come, this community is a good investment. If you want to support the evolution of human consciousness to higher levels, supporting this church is one way. If you want us to continue to act for reproductive justice and for the inherent worth of GLBT people and the many other issues that we care about that are under threat in Nebraska, then you can help keep this place going. And let's not forget the difference that Sherry Connor brought up, the difference it makes to people individually to have a caring church community. Kurt Vonnegut, the writer, who's also incidentally a lifelong UU, said, "What should young people do with their lives today? Many things, obviously, but the most daring thing is to create stable communities in which the terrible disease of loneliness can be cured." One such young adult, Julie Brock, credits her mother for raising her in the Unitarian Universalist faith. "I was raised with a built-in family," Julie writes. "I was raised in the loving arms of Unitarian Universalist youth and young adult cultures. I sustained my joy by reaching out to the community during hard times." I believe it's more important than ever for young people to have communities like this one. Julie Brock further observes, "Being young today is not easy, especially this kind of in-between young, where people 18 to 35 find themselves, where autonomy and stability don't seem to coexist for long. We're transitory," she says, "growing, uncertain, and searching. We're also open, bold, and unyielding. We are able to live this way," Brock says, "because we have each other." Well, for the individuals of all ages who participate here, for this church and its collective becoming, and for the wider society we touch, every pledge is another pumping of the butterfly wings. If this community has touched your life, if you believe in the values that we proclaim, I invite you to pledge this year. And please know that gifts of every size matter. Every one of us is precious to this community, and every one of us is needed by this community. And did you catch what the choir sang in that beautiful anthem? We are all we're becoming. We are all we have done. We are all we are dreaming. We have only just begun. Let us continue our becoming. Let us trust that, like a butterfly changing the weather in another hemisphere, our actions can change the world in ways we don't even see. And may we support each other and the generations to come by our support for this church and all that it stands for. So may it be. Amen. I invite you to rise if you like and join in our closing hymn, number 1028 in the teal hymnal, "The Fire of Commitment." The choir is going to lead us.
Into faces free from fear.
Good. With the fire of commitment in our hearts, may we honor in ourselves and each other the hungry caterpillar that follows the instinct to grow. May we trust the time of chrysalis that we might function as imaginal cells for a transformed future. And may we embrace the butterfly effect and our power to create positive change, not least through our gifts of time, talent, and treasure to this community. So may it be. Amen.